So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm a computer scientist, and Sashi Shekhar is my collaborator from University of Minnesota. Many of you probably know him. So just a little bit about us. I do a lot of algorithms and data structures in parallel processing space. And Sashi, of course, does databases and special data mining. And I got introduced to this area by a grant from NSF and Microsoft, trying to use Azure for something interesting. And then what interesting actually came out was actually GIS application about different layers of data that could be overlaid, especially the polygonal data. So that's how we started out. And when we saw opportunity to see there's so much computation and data out there, and there's a growing community, CyberGIS especially, Shravan, we actually met a couple of times. And so we have gotten very interested. And so what I will do today actually to just summarize what computer science tools, especially at the level where things are not scalable, why things are actually not scaling, what solutions do you really need from computer science point of view. So I'll just point out a couple of these projects from there. So I think Shravan already made the case that we need things to be scalable, and that seems to be one keyword, and why all the architecture is heterogeneous now. And the reason things are not scaling when you go to very large scale is because especially things which are heterogeneous, the CPU and the GPU, the graphics processing unit, they need to really work together for going this extra 10 to 100 fold speed up. And that's what actually comes in the way, especially things which are not very trivial, not easily decomposable and parallelizable. You really need to look at data structures and algorithms to make that happen. And for those of you who already been working on GPUs, because some of you have, it's not trivial. It's actually straightforward to go from traditional parallelized structure to go to a shared memory multi-core environment. But when you go to GPUs, there are lots of these specialized, for example, there's a SIMT architecture, there is a memory hierarchy that you have to deal with, accesses they need to be coalesced, and then some delicate balance between how CPU and GPU really need to coordinate. All of those actually come up. So what we foresee is a GPU platform would be crucial, not only actually for very large scale, but also actually for small scale. You already have these on the laptops. You'll probably have that on mobile device as well. So just for the cost benefit analysis, you really need to use that. So a lot of redesign has to happen for traditional things that we took for granted in computer science and now in GIS, CyberGIS. They need to be ported, and also new scalable solutions, they need to be discovered. So what I would do actually is to just summarize for the rest of my time what we have done and what is available, and I'm looking forward to collaboration. And actually already I've been very pleased with a lot of interaction that I've had. So I'll talk about two data structures that we have parallelized. And these are tree-based data structures, so that's difficult to parallelize, and how that has enhanced things that we have done, and how some of you also have expressed interest in this. So one is called R-tree. As you know, this is a multi-dimensional object organization structure with things which overlap. So we have parallelized that very well, and we are talking about all GPUs. Also, we work with other platforms. Also, we have parallelized a heap data structure, which is a way to organize things in a priority queue. And then we've used R-tree for a polygonal overlay system on GPUs. And the most recent thing that we have done is to look at regions of interest, especially when things change, like vegetation level changes very rapidly, data mining kind of application. And then we have found something very useful there also. So why are these actually hard typically? And they, especially the tree data structures, are hard because things are not easily parallelizable, right? I mean, you actually have this hierarchy, you have things which are constrained. So it's not natural to see that, and then that comes out to be a bottleneck in many applications. Okay? So in fact, the best speed up so far had been only 20 times on a GPU. So what I have written actually at the very end is what we call geopacking principle. Because things are co-located, we need to be exploiting that property as we parallelize these data structures. So we have been very successful in parallelizing R-tree by looking at those which are actually nearby, using space filling curve, and then trying to construct things bottom up, packing them together. Also, when we are searching from top down, also keeping track of those which are specially correlated. And so that came in very handy. Also, this is handy as you look at GPU architecture. So just a couple of results here. So we have actually demonstrated just now a 200-fold speed up in constructing an artery. And that's remarkable because now you are able to actually use this to construct for a variety of things, and then we have specially used that for our overlay system. And then this also actually has a template essentially for other similar data structures. So we are looking to parallelize those if you need these. This kind of summarizes what we have done for construction and inquiry and kind of speed ups that we have gotten. So we don't need to get into this, just to let you know. And we are able to apply the R3 into polygon overlay system. And the idea is to really identify those polygons which can interact, which are nearby and which can potentially intersect. How do you identify that? Very, very quickly. R3 comes in very, very handy there. Okay. And so we are able to process 200,000 polygons in about 4 seconds or so. This leads to about 70-fold speed up on a small Linux cluster. And now we are looking to go further, scale it up to 100 and 1,000 processors. And as I said, this also actually has been parallelized over usual things like cloud and Hadoop. So that's a system architecture. The only thing that I want to point out here is 3 different colors there. You really have to balance lots of things. So you have the GPUs on the right hand side, you have the CPU, multi-core CPU coordinating in the middle, and then of course you have the MPI architecture, and they all actually need to really work together to get the scalability. Okay? A little bit of roadmap here. We are also now looking at the last thing, which is about parallelizing the algorithm themselves. And I do a lot of theoretical work. So on a PRAM model, you can parallelize this, get to order log n time, logarithmic time, and now you're scaling it up. Okay. Priority queues, some of you actually have expressed interest in this architecture. We are able to extract thousands of things in parallel and do very fine-grained computation. Okay. And then we are able to get speed up in this. And now we are applying this to evacuation route planning. That's one problem that Shashikar actually is very interested in. I heard a lot about agent-based simulation, and it could be applied there. And we have been using parallel discrete event simulation in that area. And also things like medical image processing. Okay. So there are things which are underneath. Idea is to really make these heap nodes very wide. And again, there are coordination between CPU and GPU that are needed. Okay. So skip this. And that's the last application, which is the parallel interest interval calculation. So right now we have done the 1D, one-dimensional longitudinal calculations. And it's actually order NQ for a particular image. And we're able to get about 10-fold speed up on a GPU in about 37 milliseconds. So what really has happened because of this? And what this picture is showing you is where things change abruptly. So maybe the vegetation actually vanishes quickly or starts. We took about 20-year worth of images and could parallelize in about 20 seconds, which actually means that in real time you can process this and you can do 30 frames per second display. Right? So now we are looking at 2D and 3D. This actually was not so hard, by the way. So the pixelated, you can do this very fast. Okay, so we are looking at video-like scrolling and zooming capability, and that would be our roadmap. Okay, so let me stop here.
31 seconds left. Questions for our speaker? I think since we will end up with maybe a little bit of time, I think there'll be time to mix with the speakers. Shawan? Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
So the R3 improvement you have, that was dramatic speed up difference, right, for the application of your technique. You said collocation strategy there. Could you elaborate more on how you came up with that collocation strategy?
How we came up, of course, actually is some thinking, and of course students. So my student is right there that you supported. Yeah. Yeah. But the idea really is to, so for example, when you're searching, so again, idea is to search for thousands of things in parallel, right? You don't want to search for one thing in parallel. So when you're searching, things are all over. So as they go down the tree, they'll go in different branches, and you want to collect things which are in certain area together. And that's what the collocation really helps. So as you go level by level, you need to really filter and collect and separate things which are in different areas. And so if we are mindful of that, that actually comes out to be very helpful. It's also helpful because you want to go to GPU's memory and you want to get things in a coalesced manner. And so really need to pack and access in one cycle as opposed to 20 different cycles, right?
Reduce the number of times accessing shared memory.
Yeah, shared memory with the this extreme hierarchy that you have to deal with.
Right.
Yeah. So geo packing, that's what we are calling. That came in very, very handy to search as well as to construct bottom up.